Hey everybody, welcome to episode 42 of Duke's Download. I am so thrilled to have acting, singing, dancing extraordinaire Garrett Clayton as our guest today. I'm such a big fan and I'm so thrilled that he could join us today. Thank you all for participating and for joining us. Crazy that we've done 42 episodes so far. Almost a year and a half that I've been doing this, which is kind of insane. But I appreciate all the support. And by the way, if you guys ever have suggestions for guests, feel free to DM me and let me know because I'm always open to suggestions. Someone says the sound is really off. Let me see if this maybe makes it better. I see. It's on. I think this is working. Hey,
Hi.
can you hear me okay?
It kind of sounds like you're either in a wind tunnel or a vacuum cleaner.
Uh-oh, that's not good. Let me see. If I have to, I'll put earphones on. Is it any better?
It's
No.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Shit. I mean, I can try to put earphones on, but it
Is
might
someone
sound.
vacuuming in your house? Is that what's happening?
No, no, that's what's bizarre. Hold on 1 second. I'll get some
Okay.
earphones. I'll be right back.
Hi.
Shit. Hold on. 1 second. Might just have to hold the phone while I do this, which might at least make it better. Is that better? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear your voice better, yeah.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So nice to meet you. Sorry about that.
No,
Thank
it's
you so
okay.
much
Nice
for
to meet you
doing
too.
this. I'm such a big fan, and I love you and your husband, Blake. And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The pictures were beautiful, and I love Alicia, of course. She's like, literally, I think I'm like might be one of her biggest fans. She's so cool.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, honestly, like the day turned out so great and we were just happy and I don't know, it was just like it feels like a very surreal day, but it worked out pretty wonderful. We had to cancel the wedding a couple times
Of course.
because of COVID and yeah, we ended up doing all of it at a courthouse. We canceled our reception because it was indoors, and luckily the wedding was outside, so we got to do it.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, one thing that I really loved because I watched your interview that you guys did with People Magazine, and I loved the part. This is something I've actually been thinking about because I don't know if you know, 2 days ago was the 10th anniversary of the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The ban on gays in the military. And I was thinking, like, I think you're 30, I'm 30, Blake's 30. I love the fact that we're of the generation where we've really been able to see all the progress and change that, and be beneficiaries of that over the last 10 years. And I think it was Blake that said that you guys now get to celebrate or spend your lives together legally, privately, and publicly. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, like, what has that been like? Because, like I said, I mean, being at our age, we've only now really been able to fully, live our lives freely.
Honestly, like I even said it during our wedding when we did a little just toast to everybody who came. And when we first started dating, I think it was the first 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, that we weren't legally even allowed to be married. So it was something that we had to discuss if that's even something we wanted to do. Just because I've spoken to a lot of other queer people in the older generation and a bit also in the younger that have said that they purposely don't want to get married as I don't know the right word, as like a rejection of societal norms or something, I think. So I don't really. We ultimately decided it's something we wanted because a lot of people had to fight and risk their lives and for a few people sacrifice their lives just to give us these rights. So it felt like something that we wanted to honor, and we we almost did, after the second time we had to push the wedding, we almost just went to a courthouse. And we're like, no, if we're going to celebrate, we want to celebrate with everyone we love in a very public way because we are allowed to do that. And we're lucky that we're allowed to do it safely.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you guys did it in the garden. It looked like, you guys still got to have your friends and family with you. That's the way I want to do it. I mean, outdoors, it just looks so beautiful and so pretty. But I wanted to ask, you guys haven't had a chance to rest since the wedding, because I know you have this new show on Spotify. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a few things right now. We have the show with Spotify Green Room, where we just we do that every Monday at 5:00. And Spotify Green Room's new app is it's a live audio format, so we talk directly with people and we talk about stories and share news and give a lot of insight and looks into our lives and our experiences. And I'm also simultaneously do with Pride House as a content house I'm a part of online, and where we're trying to create a safe space for queer youth. And we also have a podcast being filmed simultaneously during that. I'm also working on the new Fairly Odd Parents sitcom, which has been really fun.
Oh, how great.
And, sorry, I just cut out. And yeah, so there's a few other things I don't want to keep rambling on, but it's a lot of really amazing stuff. I'm very excited.
No, I hope you guys have a chance to go on a honeymoon at some point and have take a deep breath, because it's amazing now. I love the fact that you guys, I know you had the YouTube channel before too. So I know you guys have already collaborated together in the past.
Yeah, honestly, this was birthed because of the YouTube channel. We really wanted to. It really stemmed from when all the protests and everything were going on throughout the country, and everybody kept saying, do the work, and we were like, yeah, we do want to do the work, and how can we do that and do it correctly? Because I wanted to hear from people in different parts of the world, in different walks of life, even through America, and hear their experiences and learn from them, as opposed to, I feel like a lot of times when we tell these stories or we're trying to learn about other people, we're always talking about ourselves so much that I'm like, I'm interested in not talking about myself. I really want to create space to learn from other people and learn from their experiences and learn how to correctly navigate supporting people from other walks of life. And so it was really important to us to do that responsibly and respectfully.
No, I think that's amazing. That's sort of what I'm trying to do with my series is, talking to other people. And I love the fact that I think Blake posted, if anyone knows, the openly gay soldiers or LGBTQ people who served in the military, wanted to elevate their stories. I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. I wanted to go back a little bit, if I may, because I was reading. I knew a lot about you already. I've seen a bunch of your work, but I was really interested in the fact that you basically started working as soon as you arrived in LA, which is so rare. I think you were 18 or 19 when you first arrived in LA and started getting acting jobs. How did you get interested in acting, and how did that process sort of play out when you first arrived in LA?
Well, actually, I started working when I was 13. A lot of people just think I moved here, and it's the same. It's the funny trope of everyone thinking it's overnight success, and you're like, no, I've been on the grind for a long time, and I started work as a commercial model when I was 13 in Detroit and Chicago, and I did everything. I walked a runway for Guess. I did this international highlights ad that was in all these hair salons. Literally, you could drive to any hair salon in North America, and you would see my Zac Efron looking haircut with a bunch of highlights brushed through it. It was.
I saw your high school photo with the hair.
Oh,
it
yeah,
looked great. It looked great. I
thought. And so I ended up getting my first movie when I was 15, and then I went to a few casting calls, and I booked Days of Our Lives through a talent search. I worked on a movie called Virginia with Ed Harris and Jennifer Connelly. I was almost the lead in that, and then I was told by producers they wanted to go. I was the commercial choice, and they wanted someone who was more of the indie choice. So they still gave me a part in the movie, but I ended up getting representation because of that. And when I did the Days of Our Lives talent search, I ended up flying. They flew me here, and I stayed at the Sheridan at Universal, I think is what it is. And I mean, I ended up finding my first roommates here because of that. And they said, oh, hey, we're looking for a third roommate in like 8 months. We're getting this place. I don't know how they knew that they were going to have a place in 8 months, but they knew they were going to have it. So they were like, well, they said, well, we know that you're taking a risk by moving out here. So I ended up, literally like I quit college.
Oh,
I was
wow.
in a BFA for music theater. I thought I was going to New York. And after my first year, and I ended up moving out here with just like a place to live, 2 months of rent, and all I had was like a mattress the person who used to live in the room left. So
Wow.
I remember waking up the next day, and after my shower I stood in the mirror naked and started sobbing, and I thought I ruined my life. And then I ended up when I left my apartment, I made a lucky right or left in Ventura. I remember I was like, oh, that's a busy street, so maybe I can find a job there. And so I ended up working at Crave Cafe in the Valley for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd already been a waiter since I was like 15 to like, I think I moved here when I was 19. So I had 4 years of experience, and I got this job that worked out. And I remember what's funny is I have like handwriting that looks like a serial killer. And so people kept asking me to fill out these paper resumes, and I was like, I know you won't hire me based off of this paper, but I promise you, like, my family my family is in trade work. Like, I've been at construction sites since I was 11 working. I've been a waiter since I was 15. Like, I know how to work, and I know how to shut up. And all these places wouldn't hire me. But it feels like a Hollywood story, because at some point during the day, I'd been to like 6 different places that kept brushing me off. And I walked into Crave and was like, listen, I need a job, and I don't want you to waste my time. I'm sick of people in the city wasting my time. Do you need employees right now? Because if not, I'll just leave. And she was like, oh, the owner's going to like you, stay. And so then I ended up working there for 2 years. I worked the night shift, 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., 6 days a week. I ended up becoming the night manager. I tried quitting, and nowhere else in town would hire me because they said that I was a 20-year-old with too much experience, and they didn't want a 20-year-old telling all of their 40-year-old employees what to do. And I was like, I will be a waiter. I don't need to be a manager. I didn't even want the job. The guy he said, you're either going to be you're going to be the manager of the store, or I'm firing you now because you have too much experience, and I need someone who I can trust running the store. And I was like, I didn't want to be a manager. I just want to be a waiter. And so all these places were like, sorry, we won't hire you because you're too young with too much experience. And I was like, that's stupid. You want competent people working for you. And then I booked Teen Beach Movie.
Wow. And then quite a transition from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love, by the way, from watching the people interview, is Crave where you met Blake? Is that where you?
Yeah,
Is that where
he
you guys
was.
met?
He was. He was an assistant to this guy who owned a bunch of apartment buildings in the city, and I was just waiting on him, and he kept wanting to go out, and I was very clear, like, I'd only lived here 6 months, so I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was very clear on saying I don't know who I am yet, and I can't give that to someone right now. And then he ended up proving me wrong and being a really great, wonderful, supportive figure in my life, and actually helped me a lot through all of the ups and downs of Hollywood.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I know what you mean, because even though I'm not an actor, I grew up in the business. My parents have been in the business. My grandfather was an actor, so I feel like I'm living in West Hollywood and all that stuff. I know exactly where you're coming from. So no, and the fact that you guys have been together 10 years, I mean, that's literally like 40 years in not only gay years, but Hollywood years. I mean, that's congratulations, really.
Thank you.
So, of course, the next thing I wanted to ask you about, because I think this actually was the first thing that I saw you in, was King Cobra, which I loved. And I thought you did such a great job. And I loved Christian and Alicia. And I just thought everybody was fantastic. But, you know, I know at the time, what, 4 or 5 years ago, there was a lot of press about the fact that, you know, you were, up to that point, you had done most of the young adults sort of themed projects. At least that was your public image. So, I mean, what was that like, you know, making the decision to do something that was more, you know, mature and adult oriented?
A couple factors went into it because originally when it came to me, the project, no pun intended, um,
I,
but
I just caught that. Now I just caught that. I'm a little, little slow. Yeah, but go ahead. No, go ahead.
it I was more concerned with making sure that what we were doing was handled respectfully, and that if I was going to sign on, it was handled the right way.
Mhm.
Because I didn't want nudity for just any kind of gratuitous, gross reason. Because I knew that this movie's already about the porn industry. It also deals with murder. It, you know, other people's real lives have been affected by this, and so I wanted to also be respectful enough, knowing that although it's a hard topic, I wanted people, even if they were a part of the story, to feel like it was handled respectfully, um, and also as truthful as can be. Um, I know that, you know, you can't fit in everything into every movie, and sometimes the connective tissue of these films has to uh, draw our own conclusions because we weren't there. But I basically was like, I have to meet with the director and know that every time we see this kind of exposure, especially because I realize that, you know, a lot of people in the Disney machine in my position aren't always offered the opportunity to break out of the mold, and opportunities most of the time don't knock twice. So I was like, I'm willing to take the risk if I know it's being handled within my comfort level. And so I'm a firm believer in, like, everybody, you know, everybody has private parts, and we all end up, you know, we've all been naked alone, and, like, we, you know, I think nudity is made such a big deal in American society, and then you go to Europe and people are like, who cares? It's just nudity. So
Yeah, I grew up in France for most of my life, so, you know, which is
yeah.
very different when it comes to sexuality and nudity and all. There's no, the fact that we live in a culture in America where violence is more mainstream than, you know, more acceptable than
Yeah.
sexuality. I just, you know, doesn't make any sense to me.
So I was like, I'm not ashamed of my body, and I think there's nothing wrong with the human body being naked. Actually, I'd like to answer this. Is it
Sure.
Katie Love? You know what's interesting about your question about Brent not liking it? It's he read the script and he signed off and got paid for it, and then he got into a fight with producers about the story after he sold the rights, sold his life rights to them. So I guess I'm a bit more in the dark on this topic, but from what I learned about that situation and why I haven't really commented a lot publicly is that um, if you read the script and then you actively sign off on your life rights, you got paid, and then you publicly bash the thing. Is it for attention, or is it because you're trying to stir up drama? Are you trying to? I mean, truly, like, the best thing he could have done to help the situation, because he didn't want any. After he signed off, he didn't want anything to do with it. And if it was me, if this is my life being told in a story, I would have wanted. I know he was invited on set. They were offering him a part in the movie, and so I'm like, I would want to be involved in the process as much as possible to make sure I handled, to make sure that I had a hand in how the story is told, so that if it's about me, that I'm happy with it at the end of the day. But I wasn't in his position, and you know, I probably don't know as much of the ins and outs. But I will say, if you read the script and then you make the decision to sign off on your life rights and get paid, and then decide to remove yourself, you have to live with those consequences. There's nothing else to do beyond that point.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm not him, but from my vantage point, I thought it was a very sympathetic portrayal, and I thought, I mean, you know, and you know, putting the whole nudity, you know, sexual aspect of it aside, I mean, I just thought your performance was magnificent. I thought it was a Dirk Diggler Boogie Nights, you know, you know, level performance. And I thought the movie was just, I thought, I thought all that stuff, I mean, it was done very well, but I thought, just the story was so interesting and captivating. And, for those who haven't seen the movie, you should all watch it because it's based on a true story. And, I had some familiarity with the story and beforehand, but I just thought it was portrayed in such a great way. So,
Yeah, and I
um,
went out of my way no matter what, because I would he would try and tweet at me, or I would have random strangers try and message me, or friends would be like, "Hey, did you see that the guy you portrayed um, is saying this about you?" And I'm like, I tried to, I don't know, just be respectful about this person's life and handle it as well as possible. And I would hope that anybody who would do that with my life story would take care and try and be as empathetic as possible, because I know a lot of other people in this world wouldn't be. They would want to draw conclusions and be negative. And my approach to it was like, I just want to be respectful because this is a lot. There's a lot more here than than just me telling a fable. This is real life, and people really got murdered, and people are really in jail, and there's families that have been bruised, with trauma that will never, be fully healed because of something so traumatic. So, wouldn't you hope that somebody who's handling your life story and something that you're involved in is keeping those things in mind? But I mean, for whatever reason, he just wanted to stir it up. So that's his prerogative. I still send no hate. You know what really got me about the process though was people in the LGBT community being upset because they thought it was another straight guy playing another gay role, and I was like, no, we got one of them.
and yet you couldn't. And actually, that was sort of I won't spend too much time on it. I know because I know it's been covered a lot in the past, but that kind of leads into the next part or my next question, which was about the whole coming out process. Because and I know you've been very open and honest about the fact that you had whether an agent or a manager, or people who were involved in your career who were saying you shouldn't come out yet, but like considering and I know what you came out about 3 years ago now. 3 4 years ago, like what has that whole process been like, and what was it like, and what is it like to see thanks to you in part, like the new environment that's out there for for a lot of LGBTQ plus actors.
Um, Honestly, truth be told, I came out twice. I was out to my mom and my and secretly to a couple friends when I was 16, and I had my friend's fake ID and had my kind of like club kid phase from 16 to 19. I don't condone this. It's just in the community I grew up in, I didn't have a large queer community to support me. And I think nowadays with the internet, we can find a lot more of that. And I think I know in a lot of cities it is more socially acceptable. Probably 50-50 is from what I'm drawing from doing a lot of research recently about with both of these podcasts and a lot of interviews. I'm gauging that, there's still 50% of the country in schools and places, and there's videos online circulating now where queer youth is getting bullied. And so that's kind of where I was, and I couldn't be out, kind of in the same as Hollywood. I couldn't be out in my community publicly, but I had like a small secret group of friends, and I would go to these clubs, and I would find that queer community, and I would feel supported, and I would feel like, oh, this feels good being in this environment. And so then when I moved to Hollywood, I was put back in the closet because I was told nobody wants to fuck the gay guy. They want to shop with him. And which is funny and a lie, but whatever. And so having come out now, it feels really empowering and exciting to me because I don't know how much credit I deserve for that, but I'm proud to be a part of a community that is openly fighting for that change. And it's the same reason I didn't, come out in a magazine. I feel like as a community, we're kind of beyond that. It's like, I'm lucky that I have a large social media following and I can, Christian, I'm very happy. Thank you. And I'm very lucky that I can say my side of the story and I can speak my truth the way that I want, which is why I thought I was casually coming out in like a statement with a picture online. And then And then I wrote it out the night before, and then the next day I just like I had it prepared in my drafts and I put it up, and then I went to go work out. I ended up leaving the working out an hour later, and then I had a million messages of like world news that I'd come out, and I was like, I didn't know anybody cared that much.
Well, no, I mean that's why I say I think you deserve a lot of credit because I think you're one of the few, especially like young. I mean, there are people like Neil Patrick Harris, or I mean, I'm like Matt Bomer. I mean, people who are a little older. I mean, there are more and more of those. But you're like one of the few leading men, I guess you could say, like young, actors that are out. I think in this, or at least even 3 years ago, it was a different world than it is now. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so I think you do deserve a lot of credit for that. you know.
Well, thank you.
But
I mean,
by the way, I do love that point you made though. Also, that the fact that you couldn't say like, actually, I'm not a straight actor taking a gay role, but you couldn't say it at that moment. You
oh
know.
yeah, you have no idea. I was the links I was getting sent, the tweets I was getting sent, the blog links I was getting sent of all these people being like, another straight fucking asshole is playing another gay role, and I'm like, no, no, I'm no. Even if
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It all, I think it all depends on. It's all subjective, right? Because you can have an incredible ally who wants to do a role, and they could act the shit out of it. But the point I'm at for gay actors playing straight and straight actors playing gay, I think it just deals a lot with equal opportunity when we're still in an industry that I'm still there's projects I'm a part of now that we're trying to get things made, and producers are still saying there is not one queer actor that can be just alone attached to a project and get it funded, because there's so many countries that still won't release our movies, so their foreign value in the market isn't enough for them to get, say, $3 million to get a movie made, which people I didn't even realize until I was getting into the producing world. $3 million to make a movie isn't a lot in the Hollywood terms. As an individual making $3 million, that's a crazy amount of money. But to make a movie, totally different story. And so it really opened my eyes to the plight that we have to make domestic value matter more to these investors, so that they know, even if they just release it, say in America, they will get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we start putting the power back in the hands, or not back in the hands because it never was, but putting power in the hands of queer producers and queer artists and queer performers and queer, like, if we really want the power to be in the hands of the community, in the hands of minorities, in the hands of the queer community, we have to really focus on putting where our money is going and making sure that these queer projects are the things that are making their money back. And then if we get into the straight actors playing gay and gay playing straight, it's just an equal opportunity. When you'll have any straight actor audition for any gay role, but only have a couple gay actors audition for every straight role, that's why you can't. That's why it's unacceptable right now. When you're
Yep.
giving everyone equal opportunity to go out for everything and prove that they can do it, then everyone can play everything.
Right. It's like as soon as there is a level playing field, then But I think until then, there should be consideration given to I think people need to be conscious of, okay, until there are just as many African American leads in films and TV, or Asian or gay or trans or whatever. I think that's something that people have to consider, to try to at least level that playing field. I wanted to ask you about some of the projects you're working on because, by the way, I love the trailer for Letterman, which I thought was so beautiful. And I actually know Matthew; he's a friend of mine. And I just wanted to say, like, I love it. I can't wait. Maybe you can talk a bit about that as well.
Actually, can we address this Robert Douglas Young? Everyone can play everything. Equality isn't achieved with barriers. You're right, which is why we should let every queer actor audition for every straight role, the same way we let every straight actor audition for every single queer role.
Right.
and
Absolutely.
actually give them an opportunity to be cast.
Yep. 100%. Couldn't agree more. But no, so I couldn't agree more. But so yeah, I mean, both Letterman, but then also like you can talk about that, but also anything else that you might be working on. I'm curious to hear.
Ooh, I don't want to get yelled at. There's certain things that I have to wait for like actual public announcements. I cannot say those things. But Letterman was amazing. I loved working on it. I know that they just finished cutting it together, and it's based off of the largest archive of any queer love letters that were written during World War II. And
Wow.
It was honestly such a cool project to work on. I am so happy to be a part of it.
That's amazing. But so also, so you mentioned you're sort of getting into the producing realm. So even if you can't give specifics, so you've got a few different things you're both acting in, producing. I think it's cool that you're expanding your repertoire.
I mean, I've been doing that for a little bit now. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm working on the newest Fairly Odd Parents sitcom,
Right.
on and off. But over quarantine, there was a movie. I can't remember what they changed the title of it to, but I got my first producing credit on a film. It was a Bella Thorne movie.
Great.
That came out. It was in all the drive-in theaters when all the movie theaters were closed, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And from what I think, if I remember it did pretty well. But there's that. There's another movie I'm attached. There's two movies I'm attached to currently. One of them I'm on the IP and also will be getting a producing credit. The other one I'm just attached to as one of the leads.
Oh, great. That's amazing. But no, I love that you've got so much going on. I love that you and Blake have some super cool projects you're working on. I'm a big fan of you both, so I'm so grateful to you for doing this. And I hope that we get to meet in person soon. I'd love to grab a drink or something with you guys. Let's do it.
That would be awesome. Pumpkin IP means intellectual property. It means they can't kick you out of the project.
Believe me, I know what that. Believe me, I know. I've been through that process before, so I know exactly what
Yeah, it means they need you
about.
to sign the dotted line before anything happens. James, thank you so much for having me. Sending you all the love, and I can't wait till we get to hang out in person.
Thank you. Have a good day. Say hi to Blake for me.
Bye.
Bye.
I will.
Thank you.